The smaller thought is that by 2039, this is from a quote by Mo Gaudat, who ran Google X. So he knows a lot about AI. And he's by 2039, Ray Kurzweil's idea of a singularity is so obvious. By the end of 2029,
We will have
AI
AI.
will be smarter than a generalized human being.
Yeah.
So a generalized AI is smarter than the general human being. Right now, it's much better that at any human at any specific task, but not in general. By 2039, if you continue the accelerated rate, which has been proven to be right, much like Moore's law, then you get to it being 1,000 times more intelligent. So that is the equivalent of Einstein versus a fly, and we are the fly. If you think of the difference between humans and apes, what is that difference? Is it a magnitude of 50x, 20x, 10x, whatever, 1,000x? Right. So we don't stand a chance.
How do you feel about it?
It is what it is. Somebody figured this out a million years ago, and the way to populate planets is to start bacteria of different types that exist, and they know that they evolve, and then they eventually evolve this way because this is what evolution goes to. Because we then invent computers. When you look at human genomes, it's code. Humans are just code. The atomic structure is code. So these are things are codified. So why could we not have been planted by some other society? I mean, I don't know whether that's true or not, I don't really care. But the point being is humans have this human-centric view that we are everything. And here we are walking towards us being replaced by the next creature, which is the AI. And there's not a damn thing we can do about it. We've just seen this with AI. We knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. And then it came in a way that shocked us to our core. I mean, everybody is like, okay, everything has changed. Society's changed. We don't even know what it means for education. We don't even know what it means to be a human in certain aspects anymore. The industries we thought wouldn't be disrupted, the creative industries, were disrupted first, right? So the scale of what is happening in AI and how fast that came, that was the fastest adoption of any product ever. 20 days, 0 to 11 million people. And if you listen to the CEO of Microsoft, he's saying the same thing. It's like blockchain will have that moment when something happens. India's already testing blockchain CBDCs.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the chief fintech officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and he's like, oh my God, you should see India's software application for the CBDC. It's basically like cash. So I can just flick you a 50 rupee note and it goes to you. It's also private. And the way of using cash in a way that is really simple for people, that is recorded on the blockchain so they understand their money supply and all of the elements of economics that they can do it and running an economy. That's just one of these things. So, you know, if you're an investment bank, every part of your borrowing and lending is toast. It's all gone because it'll happen on a blockchain ledger, and you will be as an investment bank, you will be a wholesaler to that system, much like the option traders tend to be wholesalers into the, you know, listed option market, stuff like that. So I don't know if it's tomorrow or whether it's in 3 years, but if you wait too late, you will not be ready. Somebody else will eat your lunch. It's as simple as that. I got asked by the marketing group of Great Britain to go and present about Web3 by the chairman. And he's like, listen, they're going to be a tough crowd because they're quite stodgy, white and old. But, you know, people need to hear this, much like you're saying. So it's black tie at Claridge's. And anybody who doesn't know, Claridge's is a very fancy hotel and how to wear the dinner suit, all of this stuff. So I gave my talk and I did it kind of in the round, allowing questions as we go, because a lot of people's knowledge is, you know, different parts of the journey. At one point, a lady stood up who was a chief marketing officer from a very big firm based in the UK and said, and she must have been in her late 50s, and she's like, this is all a scam. This whole thing is a scam. This is evil. This is terrible. And what happened was about 20% of the room stood up and applauded. Right, that's where we are in this space. The UK is well behind the US. South Korea is probably ahead of the US. You know, there's different people. You know, UK regulations better, Switzerland, Singapore, but this is the split still of people like, I always step back and don't take this personally. I think, why the reaction? Like if somebody said, oh, we've got mobile phones, somebody's going to go, oh, that's outrageous. Like, no, it's just a technology. Why the emotional response? And what it was is that chief marketing officer had to go from the old world of television advertising and radio advertising to internet. And they'd won. They got through. That's why they're the chief marketing officer. They survived that massive transition everybody had to go through. And then they're there in their late 50s at the peak of their career, and they're told, sorry, that's not the peak. We got Web3 to go now. And they're like, I'm not doing it. I can't take this on board. I can't deal with it. And that's an issue I think people will still find is even if you're watching this and you're having an emotional reaction to it, you need to ask why you're having that reaction. It's like we all have an emotional reaction to AI, and we know why. It's because, am I worthless as a human? You know, what is my sense of worth? And they're okay to ask these questions. But if you're having an emotional reaction to blockchain technology because FTX went bust, well, then you should have that about the entire banking system and every other startup that's ever happened that's gone bust. You don't. You distance yourself from them. And so you need to say, well, not all banks, the entire system of money is terrible because Lehman went under. Yes, there's structural issues with the banking system, but we don't draw that conclusion. But in this, they do. Why? Because it's a big threat. Nobody knows what it means. My business model has to change. Therefore, I can shout at the clouds or I can embrace it. My view is you always have to embrace your own disruption, because if not, you'll just be the angry bystander watching it all go by.